What's up, everybody? Welcome to Bios3 Raw TV. Tonight we're going to talk about understanding yourself, like really understanding yourself. Now, this channel throughout it's almost like 2 years that we've been on YouTube now, has not just been about fitness, training, diet. It's been about self-betterment. It's been about my mistakes I made in the past to try to help people not make mistakes in the future if they can learn from some of the shit that I've gone through in my life. Excuse me. And I think basically a lot of people just really don't know themselves. They don't know themselves and they don't understand things about themselves that maybe they just don't take the time to do it. Maybe they don't understand it. Maybe they don't want to understand it. I'm not really sure what the problem is. I think there's a lot of stuff that goes on in daily life that you should step back and check yourself and really look deep inside and see, what is this about? What am I about? I always question everything. I have a philosophical thing for everything. You know, I'm turning into fucking Mike Mentor the older I get now, apparently. High intensity philosophical things all over the place. But I see it a lot. I see it constantly, day after day, with the flexible dieting crowd. And this is not a knock on flexible dieting. This is not a knock on IFYM. This is not to bash it. This is to explain to you. So this is, let's say you're just a normal person. What the fuck is a normal person? But a normal person getting into, training, and you're looking up stuff on YouTube and you come across the flexible diet and you don't really know anything about it. And you have these people that say, well, it's really easy. What I do is 90% of the time I eat clean, and then 10%, the last 10% I fit in foods that I really like the way they taste, or like 85% of the time I just pretty much stay on, like brew foods that are micro dense, and then 15% of the time, or 80%, or whatever the case may be, they give like a percent. And they talk about it like it's so easy. And the thing about it is that person telling you that doesn't realize that it's easy for them. Not only do they comprehend it, but they can stick to a regimented schedule like that doesn't go over 15% of junk food, doesn't go over 10% of their diet of junk food. They can stick to it. It's regimented, and they can stick to it, and it works. And you see it working, and you see them eating the things, and next thing you know, you're like, well, I can do that too. Now, maybe you're not like them. Okay, here's the whole catch. I see plenty of people flexible diet, and they look great. I mean, they look good. They're not contest ready, but they look great. They're fit. They're enjoying themselves. They like to have that ice cream, whatever, at the end of the day. Whatever the case may be. Fuck it. Who cares? But the bottom line is, while you're sitting there, you need to stop before you give out advice and think, okay, could this person do this? What I'm about to say, is this free? Could everybody do this? And the answer to that is no, not everybody can. And you have to understand that. So when you're pushing a philosophy so hard that this is the way, this is better, you got to realize not everybody out there can do what you do. Not everybody's going to be able to do what you do. You can say, I'm going to eat 80% clean, 20% junk food, and do it and stick to it and be consistent, which consistency is a big key as far as getting results for fitness, bodybuilding, fat loss, muscle building, fucking getting a promotion at work, whatever it is. You consistently have to work harder and be better day after day, and that will get you to the forefront of whatever you're trying to do. Now, these people don't have that ability. Okay, I'm not saying they don't have that ability to do it in other things, but up to this point, because they're trying to learn how to get in shape, they haven't had that ability to do it. They haven't flipped that switch on and said, I'm only going to eat 80% of my clean foods and I'm going to do 20%. They can't do that. They've been eating like 20% good foods and then 80% junk foods. Or they've been saying, I'm going to eat chicken and then eat fucking KFC fried chicken. What did you eat? Did you have protein today? Yeah, I had chicken. What'd you have? Fried chicken. I actually had someone who was working with me who fully didn't really understand or comprehend the things that I told him. Now, to me, I comprehend them. It's very easy for me to understand. But when I told him turkey, okay, turkey breast, he kind of equated that into turkey slices are the same fucking thing. And when I told him, you need a carbohydrate source, 30 grams of carbs, he said, well, white bread is the same thing. It's a carbohydrate. Now, he wasn't getting results, and I couldn't figure out what it was. And he's like, I'm eating clean. I'm eating clean. I'm eating clean. I'm eating only these macros. I was like, what the fuck? So I had him list everything he was eating. First of all, he wasn't weighing out the food. Second of all, he was eating turkey slices with fucking white bread as sandwiches for his protein and carb sources. I mean, I've never seen anybody get on stage, shred it, and fucking win a show eating fucking turkey slices and bread for their macro sources and do well. Now, if he did that with like 20% of his diet, he might have been able to get away with that. Or 15% or 10%, and towards the end, cut it out altogether for a month. Maybe then he would have been able to get away with that. But he was doing like 90% of his diet with these fucked up foods, and 10% was probably clean. I mean, the cleanest things he was probably eating was like a fucking salad or, you know, I mean, something to that effect. He had water with protein powder and a salad. That was how pretty much his 10% of the day that was clean, because it was just more comfortable for him to eat the other way. Now, there had to be a switch. He had to switch it to be like, okay, I need 90%, you know, clean and 10% junk, and he couldn't do it. You know, the best he could do was 50-50. And again, the results were slow and almost fucking not even there. And anytime he did make progress, a lot of times he went backwards. He wound up not even doing the show. I told him flat out, I said, don't bother doing the show. You're not going to do well. You're not even near ready. You know, he said, well, there's 2 weeks later. I'm like, you need another 10 weeks because you need to, you know, mentally wrap your mind around the fact that these percents that you're talking about, that I'm talking about, that flexible dieters are talking about, that we're all talking about, are set in stone for us. We do that. You watch these other YouTube channels that do it, and they'll flat out still have their MyFitnessPal counting stuff. They'll flat out estimate in their head to the best of their ability, which is usually pretty close. I mean, the people that we're talking about that come, or the people that I'm talking about that come to learn how to do this, have no fucking clue how to do that. And some of them never will have a clue because they don't fucking care enough, and it's something they don't deem as natural to them, so they never really fully put enough into it to learn how to do it. So they fail. But to sit there and, you know, but now these people are going to feel bad because they failed at it, because they're like, you're the person they're talking about flexible dieting saying, well, it's so easy. I just do this. I just do this. I just do this. No, it's easy for you. And in turn makes them feel bad. Well, they feel bad. The other person feels bad about it because they can't stick to what you do, because they haven't learned the concepts and grasped the concepts first, because they don't really know themselves. If they knew themselves, they would know, I have a junk food problem. I like to eat food more than I like to diet. You know, I'm not really into this fitness thing. They would know really more about themselves. Whereas you, if you knew about yourself, you'd be like, I'm regimented. I'm really into fitness. I like looking good. I like lifting. I like dressing nice. You know, like if you know yourself, you say, okay, this is the way I am, but not necessarily everybody else. So once you figure out who you are, it's a lot easier to integrate and interact with other people and help other people. Once you realize they're not like you, and they may need a different way of explaining. They may need a different starting point than you started at. They may need help at different points. They may need to focus on one certain specific thing that you normally don't think is a big deal. But everybody's different. Biostreettraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. www.biostreettraining.com is the site, and so we're all different bicep, and we're out.